And now it's time for our inspirational speaker. And I am very pleased to present Reverend Connie Griffith. Connie She was a child when she became She has a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from Franklin University, a certificate in Industrial Engineering from Lakeland College, a Master's in Business from Dayton University, and a member of the Beta Gamma Sigma Honors Fraternity at the University of Dayton. In her spare time, she has worked for over 20 years as a healthcare executive and for 11 years as a project manager of doing construction projects for an international real estate company. Recognizing the communications between individual drives our outcome, any outcome, she became a certified artistry in communications technology linguistics counselor and a certified Maori practitioner and teacher, approved by the NBCC to offer ECUs, a graduate of the School of Spiritual Healing and Prophecy. She is ordained as a spiritual minister. She has taught adult programs at Chautauqua Institute in the Lilydale Assembly, as well as many churches and spiritual centers, and was given was a guest lecturer at Gettysburg College. Her passion is conducting fun and informational classes that allow participants to experience the aha realization. And with that, I present Reverend Connie Griffith.
Thank you, Terry. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
The topic that I was given to talk on tonight is called Winds of Change. And when I heard what everyone was asking and commenting on in our preliminary healing portion, it sounds like we are all experiencing winds of change. There's an old Chinese proverb that says, when the winds of change blow, some people build walls and others build windmills. Oh. I love that proverb because it captures something deeply human. Change comes to all of us. No one gets a lifetime exemption card. Life changes, relationships change, technology changes, our bodies change. One day you can eat pizza at midnight with no consequences. Then suddenly you reach a certain age and merely looking at pizza requires medication. That is one of the winds of change. And if you've ever tried explaining modern technology to someone from another generation, or tried understanding it yourself, you know that change can feel overwhelming. I cannot understand why my phone and computer keep updating themselves. They work just fine. And then it's a new icon for messages and another one for notes. Then my website PayPal went kaput and half my pictures are now missing.
Oh, they came to me.
They're in the cloud.
The winds just keep blowing in the cloud, right? The real question is not whether change happens. The real question is, how do we respond to it? Do we grouse and grumble and blame and build walls? Or do we sigh and build windmills? I think all of us have a natural resistance to change. Oh, we say we like change. We just prefer that everyone else change first. We want transformation as long as it doesn't inconvenience us.
That's right.
There's a story about a man who prayed every day, Lord, help me grow spiritually. Give me patience. Then one morning his car wouldn't start. Then the grocery line took forever. Then someone cut him off in traffic. By evening, he shouted, Lord, I asked for patience, not opportunities to practice it. But that's how growth works. We reach a point of, I can't take it anymore, and we plunge into the path of change. It's been more than 10 years now when I decided to car camp around the country by myself. One of my trips was down the East Coast, visiting friends and family all the way through Florida, and then back up through Tennessee and Kentucky to visit family in Ohio. I had often gone past the signs for the Mammoth Cave, but I'd never stopped. This time I decided to have that cave experience. I had complained for years that my knees were bad, and now I could barely walk 3 blocks without being in agony. My physician kept telling me, "Oh, it's not bad enough for surgery." Well, I looked at the various tours in Mammoth Cave, 300 steps down, 200, and then you've got to come back up. And I could only manage one for a handicap tour that took me down in an elevator to one cavern. That was kind of a bolt of lightning. I would not live the rest of my life as handicapped if I could help it. So when I reached Ohio, I scheduled an orthopedic consult and arranged for both knees to be replaced that January and February. Yes, it was painful, and it was a lot of hard work in the therapy, and I'm extremely glad that I did not listen to my doctor that time. But without struggle, there can be no growth. This weekend, I did assist a little bit with a new class of spiritual insight training. At the beginning of the class, I told the students that they would be pushed hard and would work through challenges during the skill exercises. They were. And they worked through new learning skills with pretty much flying colors. They learned they possess abilities that they didn't know they had and that they can put to use in many different ways. The more they challenge themselves, the greater the achievement that we saw happen with those students. And I think that's true for us too. Many of the qualities we most admire, compassion, wisdom, resilience, faith, they are not developed in easy times. The skills we develop for our life achievements do not reach full potential until we challenge ourselves to go deeper, learn more, and experience those qualities. They are developed when the winds blow. Walls or windmills? Fear builds walls. Fear says, hide, protect yourself, don't trust, don't risk, stay where it's safe. And sometimes we do build walls. We build emotional walls after heartbreak. We build protective walls after disappointment. We build walls between people who think differently than us. But walls have consequences. Walls may keep pain out, but they also keep joy out. I once counseled a client who asked me about the potential relationship with a man she's gone out with a few times, and if I thought she could be happy in that relationship. Now, I nearly always refuse to answer questions like that. Instead, I asked her how it was that she thought she might not be happy with the relationship. And her response was because she had been so hurt in a previous relationship that she decided never to be in love again. Oh, no. And the way that she did that was to have a protective barrier around herself when she was with a potential partner. And that barrier was a strong energy force. She described it like a concrete wall. And she said that this person that she's gone out with has been so kind and considerate that sometimes she feels like there's a little crack developing in that concrete. Wow. A windmill does something different than a wall. A windmill responds to the wind for positive change. So we explored what that concrete barrier was like for her. I asked her if she could imagine the concrete being more flexible and thinner. Once she did that, I asked her if she could make the concrete liquid so it looked like a thick waterfall. Then once she did that, I asked her if she could reach through the waterfall to experience some of the feelings of joy that seemed to be there for her. She could keep the waterfall around her, and she could choose to reach through at any time. A windmill takes the force that could destroy it and turns it into productive energy. Once she agreed to be able to reach through, I asked her what color her waterfall was now, and she delighted in telling me it was now a sparkly blue, and she felt really good with it around her. We agreed that it was permeable, light, and could also just be a light glow around her when she wanted it to be. She had turned her concrete cocoon into a field of energy that will keep her safe and allow her to move through to experience joy again. Spiritually awakened people learn how to do this. It's a skill. They don't stop the storms of life. They learn how to use and transform them. And one of the healthiest spiritual tools that we possess is humor. One of my favorite comedians is Jeannie Robertson. Recently, I listened to her story of being in an airport and overhearing a mother and daughter discussing the daughter's interest in a particular boy. The girl said, "Mom, you can take away my cell phone and you can take me on this trip, but when we land, I'm going to go out with him. He's a really nice boy. Otherwise, why would he be doing 200 hours of community service?" Humor reminds us not to take ourselves too seriously. I heard an older couple discussing change, and the wife said, "Remember when we were young and we could hardly wait to grow up?" And the husband replied, "Yes, and now we spend half our lives trying to feel younger." Or how many retirees does it take to change a light bulb? Only one, but it'll take all day. Now, I've decided whatever age I am now, it's the new 30. There you go, Sherry Lee. 90 is the new 30. And sometimes laughter is holy. It breaks tension, it softens fear, it helps us breathe again. Even spiritual teachers often use humor because humor opens the heart. When we laugh, we loosen our grip on anxiety and control. And maybe that's one reason children adapt to change more easily than adults. Children fall down, laugh, get back up, and keep going. Adults fall down and immediately ask, "Whose fault is this? And how long will recovery take?" There is spiritual growth through change. Nearly every spiritual tradition teaches that transformation requires letting go of an old identity. The caterpillar must release being a caterpillar before becoming a butterfly. The seed must crack open before becoming a tree. Even in nature, growth requires surrender. That is difficult for us because most of us love certainty. We want guarantees from the universe. Tell me exactly where this path leads, and then maybe I'll trust it. But faith often means taking one step before the whole staircase is visible. There is a line often attributed to mystics: "Leap and the net will appear." Now, personally, I prefer "show me the net first." But life doesn't always work that way. Sometimes the winds of change invite us into trust. I started my spiritual studies and fellowships in 1992. I was excited to learn these new ways of looking at life and new skills. All through the spiritual insight training programs and the first year of seminary school, I was on a spiritual high, learning and discovering things about myself and life that felt comfortable, like this was the true way life is to be lived. Spiritual growth rarely arrives wrapped in comfort and convenience. It usually arrives disguised as interruption. The winds of change blow into our carefully organized lives and rearrange the furniture. By the second year of school, I was out of a job, I was renting a rundown house in Lilydale, and I felt like I was being pulled apart and living with one foot on a globe of life the way I knew it, and the other foot on a globe of life that was totally unknown. I was scared, overwhelmed, apprehensive, alone, and uncertain, yet somehow determined to keep my balance and continue learning. And now as I look back 30 years later, I realize that the moments I resisted most were the moments that changed me for the better. There's a story about perspective. A shoe company once sent 2 salesmen into a remote village. The first salesman looked around and sent back a message, "No opportunity here, nobody wears shoes." The second salesman looked around and sent a message, "Incredible opportunity, nobody has shoes yet." Same village, same circumstances, different mindset. That's the spiritual challenge before all of us. Can we see possibility where others only see lack, limitation, and fear? Can we become people who bring hope into uncertainty? Can we become builders of windmills? Sometimes we think peace means the absence of change, but perhaps real peace is learning to remain centered while change happens all around us. A tree survives storms not because it resists movement, but because it learns to sway. Spiritually strong people are like that too. They remain rooted inwardly while remaining flexible outwardly. They understand that life is not about controlling every wind. It's about learning how to sail. So when the winds of change blow through your life, and they will, I hope you remember this. You are stronger than you think. You are more resilient than you know. And sometimes the very winds of fear are the winds meant to carry you toward your next season of growth. Thank you.